Hi everybody, this is Denise. Welcome to Foursquare Microfarm. And I have today my special guest, the Country Craftsman spinning wheel. And I picked this wheel up on Craigslist about maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. And it was a giveaway. And I couldn't pass it up, especially for the price. Firstly, the Country Craftsman wheel. It's not an antique wheel. It is a reproduction of the antique Saxony wheel. And it's one of the best reproductions of the antique Saxony wheels that there are, so much so that it has the feel of spinning on an antique wheel. Now, the mythology behind it goes that the original maker, Jerome Rooney, made spinning wheels for display. He wasn't aware at that time in the into the 60s, late 60s, early 70s, that people were actually still using spinning wheels and that there was a market for working spinning wheels. So he just made them non-working. And then once he discovered there was a market for dependable functioning wheels, supposedly he visited a museum of textile history in Massachusetts. He was able to see the collection of spinning wheels there. And there was a particular wheel that he caught his eye. He took the measurements for it. And he went back, played with the design, and came up with the functioning Country Craftsman spinning wheel. Okay, and so he made those wheels for a while. Joseph well, I should just spell that for you. Might be Frenzek. Let's try that. Sorry out there, Joseph Frenzek. Someone will show me how to pronounce it right. But at any rate, he started working with Mr. Rooney in September of 1972. And then Mr. Rooney retired in 1982. And Mr. Joseph took over the business. And he built the Country Craftsman until 2003, when he and his wife Cindy decided to retire from custom woodwork. So that is the rough story of the Country Craftsman. Beautiful piece by a beautiful group of woodworkers with very much the feel of the antique Saxony wheel. Now, I have an antique Saxony wheel. I don't have a functioning antique Saxony wheel. When I got it for $50 a long time ago when I first started spinning, it had a broken flyer, and I did spin a little bit on it, but it really needed repairs. And repairs for antique spinning wheels can get kind of expensive. Once you're replacing the flyer and you're making bobbins for it, basically it was more economical for me to get a working modern wheel than it was for me to have that wheel replaced. So it kind of sat in the house, then it sat in the barn, and it sat outside. So at this point, I've taken it apart and tried to make other Franklin wheels. So at this point, it's pretty much just a wheel and the mother of all hanging outside as a decoration. So I was really looking forward to getting another antique style wheel. And those are kind of hit and miss, ones that are in working order. And generally, ones that are working order are pretty expensive. So I was very pleased to find this wheel in the style that it is, especially for the price that it was. Now, this wheel is set up in double drive. And I did try setting up the Ladybug in double drive, and it just didn't really spin the way I wanted it to spin. I guess I had become used to it in Scotch tension, and that's the way I prefer it. And of course, the Louette is Irish tension, or it's a bobbin lead wheel. So now I have 3 wheels set for 3 totally different types of tensions and different drives. So this is very interesting. Now, this Country Craftsman has the small 2-ounce bobbin, And you can get the bigger bobbins, but you also have to buy the flyer with it. And I have to put a link, if you have one, to who has the flyers. You could always get them made by Bobbin Boy too. The bobbins and the flyers as such for this particular wheel. Sometimes you can find them on eBay. In my case, 2 ounces is not really that bad because this is not my only wheel. So I can have other wheels that can handle larger amounts. And also considering how small the orifice is, it limits the type of yarns I'm going to spin with this wheel anyway. So I'm going to mostly dedicate it to spinning the Angora when I'm not using the drop spindle. And I don't spin big quantities of Angora either. That's kind of expensive. So 2 ounces is just fine. Now, if I wanted to pack on another ounce or so, I could always put cardboard pieces on either ends, and it will increase, up until it meets the fly or the space between here. It will increase the amount that I can put onto the bobbins. So, I mean, that's always a thought, but 2 ounces is not too bad. And if you look back at my other videos, I show you what I do with samples of fibers that's usually like an ounce. And with an ounce of Angora, which is 100 and something odd yards of Angora, and I think the ounce was like 1.4 of an ounce, or just barely 1.4 of an ounce of merino. I knit the, what is it called? It was a spring garden shawl, the pink one from several videos back. So you can do a lot with 2 ounces, So just keep that in mind. But it would be nice at some point to have bigger bobbins. Okay, so for the most part, this will be the dedicated Angora wheel for now. And so the thing about the Country Craftsman, I gotta get a little closer here. The thing about the Country Craftsman is that it is basically kind of noisy, like most antique wheels are. A lot of clickety clackety. For me, there's a lot of play over here. And, I really don't know if there's much of anything that can be done about that. But that is basically the feel of an antique wheel. That's how it feels. Okay. And spinning nicely. It's a fast wheel. It really likes to go, and it's going to get really thin yarn, which I don't necessarily want. Let's adjust the tension here. I'm not much of a thin yarn spinner, but hey, this guy is all about the thin yarn. Let's see. Let's get that off real quick. Got stuck here. So this is going to be a wheel where I'm really going to have to play around with, because it just flies with very little. You can see, I mean, the actual drive wheel is not spinning very fast. I'm just barely treadling. But you can see that bobbin and that flyer, they're like really going. Which, like, this is going to be wonderful for Angora, because even on especially on the Louette, I'm really pedaling or lacing in order to get what I need to spin that thinner yarn. And on the Ladybug, when it's set up properly, you're still not really treadling that hard, but I'm treadling faster even with the high-speed whirl on the Ladybug than I am with the Country Craftsman. I'm treadling faster than that than I'm doing now. So for the Angora, it's really very little effort in order to put that extra twist inside of the fiber. Now, let me bring this up to you so that you can get a good idea. Back it off a bit. And I really should have a coin for comparison so that you can see that. if you can see that. I'll get you a little closer to the, let me move the camera a little closer. Okay, so somewhere in my room is a coin. I don't know where it's at. But in the meantime, here's a Q-tip. Okay, and so it's not going to be like super thin frog hair, which I wouldn't know to do that anyway. But it's thin enough to be lace weight, and that is good enough for me. A little noisy. It has its own little song that it sings. But basically, this is a fantastic wheel, and I just love the way it spins. I'm really thrilled about the way it spins. I'm certainly thrilled about adding it to my collection and actually using it. I don't use a great wheel, unfortunately. The only thing that bothers me, the absolute only thing that bothers me is because it is a more of a horizontal wheel, it's harder for me to store it and keep it out of the way of the dogs. The other wheels are upright wheels, and I just kind of pick them up. Of course, they're taller than they are wider. They have a smaller footprint. And so I just kind of pick them up and move them about the room. And you can't really do that with this guy. There's no wear on it that you really want to grab it and kind of sling it around like that, like it's a suitcase. So it's not a good idea. It's something that I have to treat like a piece of antique furniture. And that's basically how I treat it. And I have to be careful because it's not going to resist the dog accidents or dog hairs or things that they knock over all over the place the way that the laminate would, modern wheels would. So I'm just a little more careful with it. Take a better care with it, and it has to have a select place to be able to call its home to keep it from the dangers of German Shepherds everywhere, especially with the winter coming. In the winter time, the dogs spend a lot more time in the house with me, and they're in the same room as I am, and these are not very big rooms. So we're all stuffed together in this little 8x10 room, and I'm weaving and spinning or whatnot, and I took away their favorite under the table spot to go to so that they can basically get out of my walk space way. I moved it to a little folding table and a rolling cart that I got from my neighbor. And so they don't really have any under the table spaces to go now. This is going to be a much more interesting winter, seeing how I arrange things. I'm going to wind up taking things in and out from this room to the room where the loom is frequently to make sure that the dogs don't damage any of the spinning wheels themselves. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and continue this for a little while. I'm pretty sure you don't want to just watch me spin with this noisy thing all day long. And I've been told some people find it relaxing to watch other people spin, kind of like that, what was that, slow knitting that they had on Netflix for a while. But I'll finish this out. In the meantime, I have some other things planned. I have a new breed study, Tasmanian Comeback. And I have a new pattern that I'm working with. This month has been kind of crazy. Puppies are now gone away. So that was quite a bit for the month of October. So they're gone, and I finished a fiber show, stuff for the fiber show last week. So that's all done. So I really want to get to the projects upcoming. And I want to do a spin along for Angora. I'm not using this Angora, but there's an Angora Tam pattern from Lion Brand, and that'll be the pattern of the month for December once I finish the spin along. And then I really would like to get working on the spin along with the Spinner's Book of Yarn Designs. I probably won't be able to start that till after Christmas or the New Year. We'll see kind of how that goes, but that's the goal for after Christmas and the New Year. So if you have that book and you really haven't ventured into it, or if you don't have that book, that's one you should put on your Christmas list so that we can go ahead and get started with that. All right, thank you everybody for watching my video on the new to me Country Craftsman, and I hope you're enjoying your winter if you're in a winter region like me, which has begun with a vengeance. All right, take care. Thanks for subscribing. Let your friends know about this channel so we can spend and work together. It's always great to have friends to work with, especially those who share the fiber passion. Click thumbs up. Also, and if you have any comments or questions or anything that you'd like to see me do, go ahead and let me know in the comments. I always read all the comments personally. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.